In the past few days, the world has been buzzing with the shocking news that the CEO of Telegram was arrested by the government under multiple allegations. This bombshell quickly set the internet ablaze, sparking reactions from around the globe. Supporters of Telegram's CEO wasted no time in taking decisive actions, directing their outrage towards the administration of President Emmanuel Macron. Pavel Durov, the founder and CEO of Telegram, was apprehended in Paris on August 25, 2024, facing charges related to accusations that his platform was complicit in fraud, drug trafficking, cyberbullying, and even promoting terrorism. 3 days later, Durov was formally charged and released on bail, facing a total of 6 charges connected to illegal activities on Telegram. However, the company swiftly denied these allegations. In a statement released shortly after Durov's arrest, Telegram declared, "Telegram strongly rejects the accusations brought forth by France. We have always adhered to EU laws, including the Digital Services Act, and our content moderation efforts consistently meet industry standards." Following Durov's arrest by Macron's administration, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov commented on August 27 that the relationship between Russia and France is at an all-time low. In response to Paris's actions, Russia has requested a meeting with Durov, which the French authorities are currently considering. Sergei Lavrov stated that Pavel Durov's arrest was clearly influenced by some external advice. He was threatened with severe punishment, all because certain parties want access to Telegram's encrypted data. This move by the authorities only proves how trustworthy and popular Telegram truly is. Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, also added that although the Russian government had some legal disputes with Telegram in the past, Moscow never made any attempts to restrict Durov's freedom or that of his team. On the same day, Russian State Duma Chairman Vyacheslav Volodin accused the United States of being behind Telegram's CEO's arrest, suggesting that Washington wants to gain complete control over the media. Mr. Volodin shared his thoughts, saying, "Telegram is one of the few major social media platforms today where the US doesn't hold any sway. It's a global platform that operates in many countries of interest to Washington. So it's no surprise that the US would want to get its hands on it." He went on to argue that using social media for surveillance and censorship is the US's way of bolstering its political influence on the international stage. Meanwhile, Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service head, Sergei Narishkin, added that the West is unlikely to get any sensitive information about Russia from Telegram's CEO. When asked whether Moscow is concerned about Pavel Durov possibly handing over any Russian secrets to the West, Kremlin spokesperson Naruto Skin said, "I sincerely hope that Mr. Durov will not allow this to happen." Meanwhile, France and the US have yet to comment on the latest statements from Russian officials. However, on August 26th, French President Emmanuel Macron firmly stated that the arrest of Telegram's CEO was in no way a political decision. He emphasized that the incident was part of an ongoing judicial investigation. Despite this, France's actions have sparked considerable international backlash. Shortly after President Macron's government detained Durov, Russia wasn't the only one to react. The UAE swiftly froze a €10 billion deal to purchase 80 Dassault Rafale fighter jets from France. Additionally, the UAE is now reconsidering whether to halt all military and technical cooperation with France altogether. What's particularly noteworthy here is that Pavel Durov, born in Russia, currently holds dual citizenship in both the UAE and France. According to reports from European media, on August 27th, the UAE's foreign ministry announced that it is closely monitoring Durov's case. Following the incident, the UAE has requested that the French government urgently provide Durov with all necessary consular services. The UAE's foreign ministry stated, "Taking care of our citizens, protecting their rights, monitoring their affairs, and providing comprehensive support is our top priority." Billionaire Elon Musk didn't hold back his criticism of the European authorities after Pavel Durov's arrest, calling it an outright attack on free speech. In multiple posts, Musk demanded justice for Durov. American entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy also chimed in, warning, "Today it's Telegram, tomorrow it could be X." Musk didn't hesitate to agree, saying, "That's absolutely true. But that's just the international reaction. let's talk about what's happening in France. Things aren't looking too rosy for the government right now, especially for President Emmanuel Macron. In Paris, crowds have been gathering at Place de Trocadero, chanting slogans like "Macron, resign," and "Macron, it's over." The message is clear. They want President Macron out. Specifically, hundreds of protesters rallied in Paris, organized by the party The Pasteur, demanding Macron step down. This demonstration comes at a time when forming a new government has become a real headache after July's snap election. The call for Macron's resignation is growing louder as tensions rise, not just between Macron and his allies, but also with the socialist and communist factions. The situation escalated when Macron refused to appoint their candidate, Lucie Castex, as prime minister following the inconclusive parliamentary elections in July. Despite the new Social and Ecological Union, NFP, winning the most seats, no single party has secured a majority in a parliament that's deeply divided between the left-wing, Macron's centrist supporters, and the right-wing National Rally. Protesters told Novosti that an initiative by 58 lawmakers might be enough to trigger impeachment proceedings against the French president. Under Article 68 of the French Constitution, the president can be removed from office if found guilty of failing to uphold his duties. One French citizen at the protest claimed that Macron himself violated the Constitution by refusing to acknowledge the election results. "He's ignoring the will of the people," the protester said. "We were told to vote, we postponed our vacations, and for what? Macron has to go." But the protests weren't just about opposing the president over elections and appointments. Some demonstrators also voiced support for freedom of speech in France, following the arrest of Pavel Durov. One protester called the arrest absurd, stating, "France has always stood for freedom and human rights. What image are we creating for ourselves today? We're tarnishing our own reputation by following the whims of others. It's unacceptable." As the protest concluded, Warrior Philippines, the leader of the PATUS, continued his tradition of tearing up the EU flag. He used this symbolic act to urge France to leave the European Union and NATO. "We want peace, not war. We want a fair, prosperous, and free France," Philippines declared. Macron, who's playing war games with Russia, is only increasing the threats against us. Macron, who crushed the Yellow Vest movement, who has driven French citizens into poverty, who has made us dependent on the EU and NATO, must resign. The left-wing party has initiated impeachment proceedings against President Macron after he refused to appoint Lucie Castex as prime minister. Macron defended his decision by citing his responsibility to maintain institutional stability amidst the current political deadlock in the hexagon-shaped nation. Earlier reports had hinted at the appointment of a new prime minister, but instead, Macron chose to launch another round of negotiations, infuriating the left-wing coalition, which is now calling for public protests to impeach the president. Macron argued that his duty is to ensure the country isn't hindered or weakened, and urged all political leaders to act with a sense of responsibility. Currently, President Emmanuel Macron is under immense pressure as France's political landscape remains highly unstable. Citizen protests are jeopardizing Macron's political future, especially following the decision to arrest Telegram's CEO. France is finding itself increasingly isolated on the global stage, while the United States, which international observers believe orchestrated this situation, appears to have emerged unscathed. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that Macron is still quite inexperienced when it comes to dealing with the complex maneuvers of powers across the Atlantic. The true motive behind the US push to arrest Telegram's CEO remains unclear. It could be for political reasons, as Russia has alleged. However, using France as a pawn in this game to capture Pavel Durov was a masterstroke. Now, President Macron is not only facing internal pressures but also international backlash. Russia and the UAE have already expressed their support for the Telegram CEO, and it's uncertain how many more countries will follow suit. Ultimately, it's France that will bear the brunt of the consequences.